Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates. Pick your favorite one. And of course, pick your favorite location. Also, all of our television partners as well. Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates who are carried on in select markets where applicable. Same thing, of course, with Hotel TV in about 500,000 rooms or so. And also all of our friends watching on Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. A fun group, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes, make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, if you're into traveling, maybe you're looking for a couple of nights right here in Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, and you know a little bit of trivia, guess what? You're in luck. Because if you can answer this simple trivia question, Vacation Buddies is going to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas or Orlando or Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies, no, they're not a partner of this station. They're not affiliated with this station, but guess what? They want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson. If you know the answer to that very simple trivia question, if so, again, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, winter meetings have wrapped up in Major League Baseball over there in Orlando, Florida, and there were some fireworks for sure. We had some really good deals, what seemed to be pretty good deals made. And when you think about me personally, obviously, I think the biggest deal that was made outside of Kyle Schwarber signing the 5-year deal back with the Phillies, I think it was a little bit of a shocker with Pete Alonso moving on to the Baltimore Orioles. Now, with Pete Alonso gone, a lot of people are assuming the Mets are going to make a big move on the free agent market. Well, frankly, they're kind of going to have to. And so even their president of baseball operations, he's got a lot of work to do, David Stearns. And the question is, what does he try to fill? First base, maybe. Maybe a combination of somebody who plays first base and the outfield, which makes a little bit of sense. And that would point, in my opinion, everything to Cody Bellinger. Now, that seems to be the most ideal move because he is a first baseman and a center fielder. But you never know what's going to happen. I mean, look, the top corner infield prospects, I guess, if just the hot corner happened to be Alex Bregman and Eugenio Suarez. And Suarez thumped his way to a big payday coming up here in the offseason. And Alex Bregman, well, this guy's been a Gold Glove third baseman. I mean, the guy's good. I mean, really good. And he hits for power, hits for average. I mean, both of these guys are good. Will Suarez do just as well back in the National League? Because remember, he went to the American League and he was mashing over there. He was playing very well for the teams he played with in the National League, but I don't know, he was just in the right place at the right time. It's too bad for Seattle, because Seattle, if they could keep it together, they were good enough to go to the World Series, in my opinion. But nonetheless, you think of those two third basemen, Bregman and Suarez, you say, well, yeah, they may not be ideal fits. Maybe Murakami from the Japanese League is a better fit, and maybe Akamoto is. A couple of Japanese stars who were recently posted could be free agents, or better yet, options at first base. I think Bellinger is a better option because he knows the U.S. game. Everybody knows him, too. They know what he's capable of, too, and he's got a lot left in the tank. I think he's 30 now. But the more likely big-ticket targets, of course, are guys like Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. So remember, the Mets just cleared some space. Think about that. They made some room for a deal like this. So, look, the market will likely pick up real soon. The free agent market, I think, is going to be very, very, very busy. Everything didn't have to get done at the winter meetings. No, it just happened to be that way. But with the salaries of Pete Alonso gone, Edwin Diaz gone, and Brandon Nimmo gone, those are off the books. There's a lot of room in the payroll to pursue guys like Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. And I really believe that is where they're going to go, because they seem to have super, supersonic pockets. But the Mets are also looking to add a starting pitcher. So maybe it's Michael King. This guy is a top prospect and a top target, I should say. And maybe through a trade, who knows? Maybe they could get lucky and land Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, which I can't imagine why the Brewers would even want to deal this guy unless they were going to get a gigantic haul in return. And I don't think the Mets have a lot to give in return. So I don't see Freddie Peralta going anywhere. That's just a lot of hot air, in my opinion. And who knows, maybe another reliever with Robert Suarez among the arms being discussed. Who knows? But the Orioles finally made the big deal that their fans have been kind of waiting for a long time. And I don't think they're done. No, because the Orioles need pitching. We know they desperately need pitching. They have a very mediocre at best starting rotation at this point. So who knows? Maybe guys like King and maybe Framber Valdez might be their top targets over there in Baltimore. So that would make a little bit of sense. Because does Baltimore hit the reset button and say, all right, even with guys like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holliday, do we hit the reset button and basically sell off and start over? No. Because those are good pieces. They've got some good pieces on that team already. And I think it would be irresponsible for the Orioles to hit the reset button. They've got good infield pieces. So why would you move away if you're strong up the middle, especially you're strong at the catcher position? You've got the right pieces. So I think the Orioles are going all in. They're saying, all right, we got our first baseman. Because remember, Ryan O'Hearn went to the Padres at the trade deadline last year. And O'Hearn, a very good player, plays, well, first base and outfield, kind of like Cody Bellinger. Who knows? Maybe Bellinger's on their list for something else because they already got their first baseman. Maybe they need some help, which I know they need help in outfield. But even with the number of their top prospects graduating to the majors in recent years, the Orioles have some attractive prospect chips to use in a trade. Don't forget, Kobe Mayo, a slugging first baseman. Yeah, he did struggle his first 85 games or so in the bigs. 11 homers, 28 RBIs, OPS 687, whatever. The kid just turned 24 and could be a coveted player by a number of clubs. And think about that. Clubs that don't necessarily have the money, but they're looking to take some upside on a good prospect. And he obviously has major league pop. He's already done it 11 times and driven some runs in. Look, the Orioles finally spent big on a free agent for the first time in many, many, many years. And that's kind of like what you would think what the Cincinnati Reds would do. But the Reds, in my opinion, aren't smart enough to do that, to keep their fan base happy and to keep building around guys like Elly De La Cruz and Hunter Green. It's just the Reds' ownership should be fired, if anything. Nonetheless, look, we've seen 3 of the top free agents, Alonso, Schwarber, and Diaz, agree to deals just in the last couple of days or so. Who's next? You never know. I mean, I'm thinking it could be Suarez, maybe. probably the best reliever remaining on the market today, or King, who is among the top starters available. Now, the only reason King is probably, or I should say, Framber Valdez is the top starter is because Dylan Cease signed his deal a week or so ago with the Toronto Blue Jays, signed a 7-year deal. Kind of similar to the old Max Fried idea with the Yankees, who signed an 8-year deal with the Yankees. Anyway, but the relief market has been moving at a pretty quick pace in the winter, and with Diaz joining Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, Raisel Iglesias, Pagan, which is, I've got something for all those people that are Reds fans thinking about Pagan. Yeah, 2-year deal, $20 million. Boy, I got to tell you, I think I know of better uses for that $20 million. Nonetheless, I put it all on red. And that's on the roulette table, folks. Anyway, so with Pagan and Finnegan, I think he signed a 3-year deal with the Tigers as well. There's not a lot left out there. So Suarez is probably one of the few back-end types left on the market. Maybe Fairbanks, maybe even old-timer Kenley Jansen, Tyler Rogers, another guy, maybe even Luke Weaver. You never know. But King is likely to sign a shorter-term deal than Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, and Imai, who the Cubs are looking at, making him a very popular target because then the team's exposure isn't that great. The Red Sox, his supposed suitor, and Yankees, of course, two big market teams that have been surprisingly quiet this winter. Well, look at all the spending they've just done recently. What do you think is holding them up? I don't know. Do they need to keep doing deals and deals and deals? Alonso was absolutely a target for the Red Sox, but they didn't really need him. Think about that. The Red Sox have plenty. In addition, first base, the Red Sox have a need at third base with Bregman on the open market. Why don't they just re-sign Bregman? How stupid would that be not to re-sign him? Maybe they want to go get Bo Bichette and Eugenio Suarez. Never know, folks. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody waking up with us over in Atlanta, listening in on WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for doing that. Everybody driving home with us right down the road from there over in Columbus, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, and Montgomery, Alabama, all points in between. Listening in on WAUD, that's 1230 on the AM dial, home of the Atlanta Braves. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for joining us. Everybody else up and down the Midwest, out to the West Coast, those driving between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, down Interstate 15 on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Thanks for joining us there. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Also, our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, home of the Yankees, 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, of course, big hello to our friends watching on social media as well, and that is on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in right now, in the first segment, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. So they want to give them to you if you answer a simple trivia question, couple of nights on them. Here's the question in case you missed it if you're just tuning in. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat, B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, or C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies, again, is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question. And if so, again, call 888-576-5777. Call now. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. For all those people that like to do a little bit of traveling, guess what? I'm right there with you because I love it too. All right, so we're going to go pretty much away from baseball. We're going to see where the chips fall, and I'm kind of curious where Kyle Tucker lands. Something tells me Kyle is going to end up with the Orioles, and I believe that Cody Bellinger is going to end up with the Metropolitans, along with possibly Alex Bregman. That makes the most sense for the New York Mets. And I think the Orioles, they need an outfielder, but they desperately need pitching. So they're going to probably get themselves Kyle Tucker, I'm going to guess, and they'll go get themselves maybe Framber Valdez, which makes a little bit of sense, or even King. We'll see if Mr. King ends up going there. Either way, we'll keep an eye on what happens now that the winter meetings are over in Orlando. All right, so now we're going to shift over into college football. And of course, with this one, we are going to proceed this discussion with what? You know, if you listen to this show or you watch this show, it'll be preceded with the chorus of boos. Why is that? You ask why that is. I'll tell you why. Because, yes, it's the ACC commissioner. Oh, boy. It's all about this guy and Notre Dame. The commissioner calls for the CFP playoff bracket expansion after Notre Dame was snubbed. Oh, shut up. This is stupid. And everyone's got this one. We're going to go ahead and follow this one from good old Bleacher Report. Now, look, everybody's got this story, but we're going to go ahead and follow what they had to say here, just for you, the listener. They say the ACC barely made the college football playoff this season, with Miami landing the final at-large spot, and the conference's commissioner would like more opportunities in the future. Saying, quote, Mr. Jim Phillips says, quote, if you're leaving teams out of the playoffs that can win the national championship, then you don't have the right number, close quote. Now, he said this when advocating for expanding the CFP from the current 12-team field to beyond. And they're thinking probably 14 or 16, he says. He also said he would look at 16 as the correct number, but may even explore expanding it to more teams. Yeah, more teams. Why is that? It just seems like, look, the ACC can't seem to get it together. And here's what I love. Look, I'm a Duke guy. I'm an ACC guy. I'm also a Big Ten guy. And when I look at it, I say, all right, it was my beloved alum, yes, my graduate school, Duke University, ends up doing what? They end up winning the ACC tournament, the championship. I got to tell you, very exciting. Yes! Yes! So it was Duke winning the ACC title over Virginia. And yeah, they lost to them early in the season, but guess what? They came back and beat them in this one. And this was about Duke football, a 5-loss team. So that 5-loss team did not make the CFP. So this is how messed up things are, folks. The conference champion in the ACC, who is supposed to be technically guaranteed a spot in the CFP. Doesn't matter how many losses they have. Duke with 5 losses, but they won the ACC tournament. How come they did not make the CFP? Well, they weren't ranked by the CFP. All right, and that is all about one thing, folks.
Show me the money!
That's it. All about show me the money. Show me the money, and I'll show you somebody that gets in to the tournament. And so people are griping about, well, how come Notre Dame didn't get in? Well, you know why? First of all, folks, they are not a football member of the ACC. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. No, they're an independent. So that's a whole nother discussion. They don't even play in a conference title game. So if they were in the ACC, maybe they would have been playing in the conference championship game. Who the hell knows? Fact is, they weren't, so it doesn't matter. So back to Jim Phillips, who is the commissioner of the ACC. He's like, oh yeah, we want to go to maybe 16 teams or more, whatever. So conference commissioners and Notre Dame have until January 23rd to decide on the format for the 2026 season. Why the hell are they deciding on the format? What is that supposed to mean? What kind of crap is that? Conference commissioners. Yes, all the different conferences, or let's just call it the Power Four, and Notre Dame. How come they are at their level instead of all the other universities' level? What kind of crap is that? So they have something to decide upon all the way up to January 23rd. And CBS Sports reported last month, quote, there is growing confidence, close quote, it will remain at 12 next season, even though there is discussion about expanding the field to 16 or even 24 teams. Now, there's also noted that the crux of the issue and stalemate is the SEC and Big Ten being, quote, miles apart, close quote, in their preferences. As the two most powerful conferences, they will largely dictate how the process unfolds. As a matter of fact, it was also explained as, quote, the Big Ten seeks multiple automatic qualifiers for its conference, while the SEC prefers more at-large spots, which would historically favor the SEC, close quote. As for Phillips, his comments come after the ACC was under the spotlight leading up to the bracket reveal this season. And of course, the final 2 at-large spots came down to Alabama and Notre Dame and Miami. And the people from South Bend, Indiana, were the ones left out, even though they were ahead of the Hurricanes in every CFP poll. But you know what? Head-to-head, Miami beat Notre Dame. So just with that alone, the tiebreaker, the CFP could not put them in. Because remember, Miami had that head-to-head win. So had Miami not made the field, the ACC would have been left out entirely, since its conference champion Duke was not among the 5 highest-ranked league title winners. Yeah, well, guess what? They got other people out, and by Duke winning, very, very good news for James Madison and Tulane. I'm really happy James Madison got in there. They deserve it 100%. And here's the interesting part about it, folks. If you don't know anything about James Madison football, you better read about it. I'm going to talk about the next segment a little bit. Anyway, back to this. Miami jumped Notre Dame when both were idle during conference championship weekend. However, remember, it was the head-to-head win that I mentioned. And something that took more precedence when BYU lost his Big 12 title game was no longer in between them and Notre Dame in the rankings. Now, the ACC pushed for Miami leading up to the bracket reveal, both on social media and with public comments by the commissioner. Yeah, there's all kinds of rhetoric out there, but Notre Dame, which had a scheduling partnership with the conference and is included in the ACC in other sports outside of football, wasn't happy about it. Oh, quit your crying. Look, if you joined in the first place, you wouldn't have any issues. Seriously. So quit your crying, Notre Dame. That's right. We're going to be back here, and we're going to continue on with more of their nonsense. I don't give a damn what the statement from the ACC commissioner said. Oh, well, the University of Notre Dame is an incredibly valuable member of the ACC, and there's tremendous respect. Yeah, they don't play football. Back in a few.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors Winners who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven, gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas at the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, prior guests, recorded shows which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. And of course, one of those is Al's #1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. And tell them the Sports Circus sent you. All right. We get back here with this CFP alleged snubbing of Notre Dame. And then they had these special rules or whatever that are being enacted. This whole thing is a big crock of you-know-what. I am so sick of concessions being made to those guys in South Bend and the other guys that play over in Columbus, Ohio. It is tiring. That's Ohio State. It's tiring when all this just keeps happening over and over. It's disgusting, honestly. And so here, then we dive a little deeper into this whole thing and we say, okay, now we're going to go to Sports Illustrated. They say, oh yeah, could Notre Dame cut ties with the ACC after the controversy in the first place? Oh, boy. Honestly, I would absolutely welcome it. And here's good old athletic director Pete Pavakwa. Said the ACC has done permanent damage to its relationship with Notre Dame. Really? How did they do any damage when it's really those guys from South Bend, their reluctance to join the ACC as a football partner and as a team, but instead they'll join in every other sport except football. Why is that? Well, listen, folks, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and I mean a whole bunch of them. Okay, so let's do a quick search on our favorite, actually it's not my favorite, but maybe it could be your favorite search engine that rhymes with noodle. So let's just put Notre Dame. And then we'll put, what do you want to put in this line? How about, let's just say reasons why they don't want to play football in the ACC. Let's see if we could find something there. All right, handy dandy AI overview says Notre Dame doesn't want to fully join the ACC for football primarily because they maintain unique, independent, and massive revenue via their NBC television deal, avoiding shared profits with a conference while leveraging their brand for strong scheduling and high-profile matchups against all major conferences. Well, you know, before I get into the rest of this, they're complaining that, oh, we were snubbed from the CFP. Well, last I checked, if you look at their record versus the top 25, that's right, they were 1 win against 2 losses in the top 25. So if you're going to say that they belong, who did they really beat? Okay, they beat USC, but they beat USC in South Bend, Indiana. Right? I think it was that. I think that was the case. Let's find out. All right, so let's take their schedule. And I just want to make sure that I'm right about this. Let's look at their 2025 schedule. And I think it was right around, week 7 or something to that effect. One of my very, very close friends is a former great at USC. All right, so let's go to their football schedule here. And let's go to their website, God forbid. And then we're going to go ahead and take a quick look and see where that game was won or lost. Okay, so here it is. USC, and it was, let me see, it looks like it was a road game. Okay, they won that game at the Coliseum over in LA. But remember, if you look at their schedule, well, let's face it, they lost to ranked Miami. They lost to ranked Texas A&M. And guess what? They lost at home, or better yet, they lost at home as well. So look, these guys have 2 losses to ranked teams, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I'm looking at the right page here, so you have to bear with me. So I'm looking at this on theirs because they don't put home and away in the right order, if you know what I mean. They just don't, because that's just what they don't do, I suppose. But nonetheless, I want to make this point proper. I'm going to go to the 4-letter network, and they'll show who was home and who was away. I want to say that the USC was at home in that game, but I could be wrong. All right, so let's go to it. All right, so they lost. Okay, so Notre Dame lost at Miami. They lost at home to Texas A&M. And Texas A&M was ranked number 16. Miami was ranked number 10. So a 10 beat them and a 16 beat them. And they beat USC, who was 20th at that time. All right. Oh, and they beat Pitt, who was 22nd. So no real great wins there. If you look at it, I mean, who's the best team they beat? Apparently it was USC. Outside of that, I mean, come on, they destroyed teams like Stanford and Syracuse and Navy and Boston College. I mean, these are bad teams. NC State, Boise State, not really a good team. Arkansas was in last place in the SEC. Purdue was in last place in the Big Ten. They didn't beat anybody. So it doesn't really matter what happened in those games. What matters is what they did against the good teams. So they're complaining, oh, we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave. No, remember, folks, back to that search engine that rhymes with noodle. They maintain unique, independent, and massive revenue via their NBC TV deal, avoiding shared profits with a conference while leveraging their brand for strong scheduling and high-profile matchups against all major conferences and revenue. It says, but their recent conflict with the ACC involves the conference promoting Miami over them for the college football playoff. No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with Miami over them. It had everything to do with a head-to-head matchup. And guess what? Last I checked, it was Miami beating those guys. Miami has the head-to-head tiebreaker. Therefore, everyone in South Bend seems to have this real ongoing issue with, well, we rank higher than Miami. Yeah? Well, head-to-head, Miami beat you. So that cancels out your ranking. What is so hard to understand about that? Seriously, what is difficult about that? And, well, the key reasons, allegedly, for their independence is They keep all the money from its lucrative individual TV deals with NBC, avoiding revenue sharing with conference members. Ha. It's all about that good old
show me the money!
That's right, and the brand power and all that other crap, it all comes back to money. Scheduling flexibility, they can do what they want. Why? Because they get the money. Then when they go to the CFP like last year, they got special financial concessions too. When they go to certain bowl games, they get special concessions on that. Oh, yeah. And all the other sports in the ACC, sure, they already have a deal for all other sports, but who gives a damn? Because at the end of the day, football is a big financial driver. And you say, well, what about this conflict? So there's the CFP snub. It's not a snub. Miami deserved it. ACC social media campaign, well, their athletic director, Crybaby, in my opinion, Pete Bavacqua, accused the ACC of running a targeted social media campaign against them to boost Miami's playoff chances in the first place. Oh, give me a damn break. Oh, there's strained relationships and da-da-da. Some sources saying there's permanent damage there, as I read before. But the point is with all this, are they going to stick around or are they going to actually be a full-time member? If you're going to be a full-time member of the ACC, that's a little bit different. If you're going to cry about not being a full-time member and, well, we want all of our football, whatever, we want all the revenue, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and cry about the idea that we don't get to play in the championship game or in the championship tournament. Well, they could have solved that problem by being a member in football, so they're a member in all sports, but they chose not to. Who do they have to blame? And their athletic director, Pete Bavacqua, is crying about it and whining so much that the CFP has made a concession. Oh, that's right. And that's the sickening thing about it. So as I look at it, I just see what in the world's going on here. What is going on? In fact, let's take a look at that when we come back from the break in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all natural, dry-aged steaks and chops directly to your door without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at the Sports Circus. Lots of great gift ideas. It's the tab right across the top in the middle. It says store. Click on it, and you'll be able to check out all the cool hats, hoodies, t-shirts, baseball caps, sweatpants, sweat coats and pillows and blankets and travel mugs and coffee mugs and mouse pads, all kinds of cool things with the Sports Circus logo either embroidered on the fabric or silk screened on the non-fabric items. Anyway, check it out. And of course, lots of great items for gift ideas. And remember, if you mention Ringmaster Sal, you'll get an extra 10% off of your first purchase. Compliments of the Sports Circus. Yes! All right. Welcome back to everybody on radio and TV. You know who you are. All right. And the ongoing discussion, once we finished up with the winter meetings, has been this whole Notre Dame nonsense and their athletic director seemingly crying, that his team wasn't taken over Miami. And remember, head-to-head, Miami beat them. Doesn't matter what the final ranking was. Head-to-head, they beat them. Therefore, the tiebreakers, that's it. Now, if you say, what were the concessions made? Oh, yeah. The CFP was pressured, in my opinion, to make some serious concessions to Notre Dame. And people say, well, why do people not like them? It's because of stuff just like this. So here's what happened. Imagine this. That's right. The financial strength of an organization. You want to talk about an unfair playing field? That's this right here. So listen to this. So they cried, in my opinion, about everything. Oh, we were left out. Boo, hoo, hoo. That's right. And so they negotiated. Listen to this, folks. This is disgusting. They negotiated a special concession in the college football playoff agreement that guarantees them an automatic berth if they are ranked within the top 12 by the selection committee starting next season. That's right. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, here are the details in case you're wondering. Yes, an automatic qualification under the terms if Notre Dame finishes the regular season ranked in the top 12 of the CFP rankings, they are guaranteed a spot in the 12-team playoff field, regardless of not belonging to a conference or competing in a conference championship game. That's right. And further, negotiations context, by the way, this carved out. Yeah, that's right. It was carved out of already a steaming pile of BS. And now this carve out was a point of negotiation when the major conferences, ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, and SEC, and Notre Dame, agreed to a 6-year deal to continue the CFP. In exchange for this guarantee, Notre Dame and other parties reportedly surrendered a bulk of control over the specific format to the Big Ten and SEC commissioners. Now, there are financial implications to this. So as an independent, they being Notre Dame, benefits from keeping the entirety of its CFP revenue share, which is complete lunacy, which has led to significant payouts, approximately $20 million after their 2025 appearance. Imagine that. They didn't have to share that. So conferences distribute their base payouts and performance-based money among their member schools, whereas Notre Dame receives its share directly. That's right. This is all about show me the money. Unless you can find something else in this, folks, I can't. This is absolutely an abomination to what it is supposed to be. So they don't share a penny. Is it a controversy? Of course it is. The special provision has been a subject of enormous debate, with critics arguing it gives Notre Dame an unfair advantage and special treatment compared to other programs, especially as conference championship games can negatively impact the other bubble teams' rankings. So this concession came to public attention just recently, of course, when their 10-2 team was left out of the CFP, in case you were falling asleep for the last, 45 minutes or so. But the whole thing stinks. But here's another viewpoint, and this one comes from the Palm Beach Post. And of course, that would be in sunny Florida. And the Palm Beach Post says, how did Miami football make the CFP? The committee rewatched the Notre Dame game, and apparently there's something to it. So according to the Palm Beach Post, they say, let's see, who wrote this one? This was written by Kirkland Crawford. We want to give him a little bit of credit here for writing this. Okay, and so that's what we like to do. We like to make sure we don't edit the credit. So Kirkland Crawford of the Palm Beach Post says, the Miami Hurricanes were behind Notre Dame in every one of the previous 2025 college football playoff rankings. That is until the one that mattered the most was released. Miami was ranked 10th, one spot ahead of Notre Dame for the final at-large spot in the 12-team tournament, scheduled to begin on December 19th. And the Hurricanes will visit Texas A&M for its first-round matchup at noon, December 20th, carried over the Disney channels. Also, they wrote, how did the Hurricanes, who were 12th last week, jump Notre Dame, which was 10th? Miami has Texas Tech to thank for that. Now, CFP Committee Chair explains the rankings. As Arkansas Athletic Director and CFP Selection Committee Chair Hunter Yurachek explained on the Four Letter Network's Bracket Unveil, BYU's loss to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game knocked the Cougars out of the 11th spot for their ranking, placing Notre Dame and Miami next to one another for the first time. And here's a quote. Once we moved Miami ahead of BYU, then we had the side-by-side comparison that everybody had been hungering for with Notre Dame and Miami. And you look at those two teams on paper, and they're almost equal in schedule strength, in common opponents, and the result again comes to their common opponents. But the one metric we had to fall back on again was head-to-head. I charged the committee members to go back and watch the game. We got some interesting debate on what that game looked like. With that in mind, we gave Miami the nod over Notre Dame in the 10 spot. So they get the extended applause. Of course, they get the extended applause. I mean, look, folks, I don't care how you cut it up in whatever argument you try to make for those guys from South Bend. Yeah, they were a good football team. I'll give you that. They're a good football team. They didn't have the big wins, whatever. They beat a couple of cupcakes in the top 25, all things considered. But they lost two important games, and one of them was head-to-head to the team that beat them out. If you can't beat them head-to-head, how do you expect to lose to the team that you're fighting against head-to-head and somehow pass them up when it comes to the final selection for a tournament? It's real simple. I mean, seriously, folks, it always comes back to, look, in the NFL playoffs and Major League Baseball playoffs, there's all these tiebreakers. So why wouldn't they be subject to the same tiebreaker? So that is really as simple as it gets. So as the Palm Beach Post reads, so wait, Miami's better than Notre Dame now? Well, four-letter network host, I'm not going to give them credit. I don't give a damn what they say. Somebody on their channel, and someday you'll ask me why I call them the four-letter network and everything else, and, well, email me, and I'll tell you why. Anyway, info@thesportscircus.com, in case you're wondering. So you ask about this, and you say, well, are they better? Okay, so the four-letter network then asked if Miami and those guys had been in the same vicinity of rankings in the last few weeks, why would head-to-head only really be a factor now since the team's resume appeared similar? Well, because that's the only head-to-head matchup they actually had. And that's the one measuring stick. That's the one tool they actually had to make a determination of who they ought to take. How the hell are you going to take the team that beat you when they actually look better on paper? You can't do that. You can't. So Yurachek reminded Davis, that person from the other channel, that Miami had just lost 2 of their last 3 when the first CFP rankings were released in the first week of November. They were then 18th and only a few spots ahead of Louisville. And one of the teams that beat Miami was Louisville this season. So, for the sake of argument, Notre Dame, which began the season 0-2, but was in the middle of a 10-game win streak when the rankings were released, started 10th in the rankings, moved up to 9th for a couple of weeks, then back down to 10th before ultimately falling to 11. And Yurachek said, he is the chair, by the way, quote, not until they got to close proximity, side by side with the move of BYU, we were able to evaluate just those 2 teams side by side. And as we said for the last few rankings, last few weeks, we thought Notre Dame was better than BYU and deserved to be ranked ahead of BYU, and we thought BYU deserved to be ranked higher than Miami, and that's how that laid out. However, after the championship game in the Big 12 and the way BYU performed against Texas Tech again, we felt like Miami should be ranked ahead of BYU, and then you had the direct head-to-head comparison of the teams at 10 and 11 in our poll. So you can't complain about this stuff. I mean, really, quit your complaining. It doesn't matter. Head-to-head, we know what happened. That's the end of it. So for all you people that call yourselves the Golden Domers or some crap like that, listen, folks, it's about money. But remember, the only thing that trumps that is head-to-head. And so as I look at the national championship odds, well, guess who is vacant and absent from that list? You guessed it, Notre Dame. They don't belong on here. So as it looks right now from MGM Resorts International, Caesars Palace, and some others, and we have we'll call it a 2.25 to 1 for Ohio State to win the title. Indiana is at 2 3/4 to 1, or plus 275. Georgia is at 5 to 1 to win the title. Imagine that. Good price right there, 5 to 1. Oregon's at 8 to 1. Texas Tech. I bought a ticket for Texas Tech. That's right. I have the ticket. I have a picture of it, and I'll show it to whoever. Yes, and I didn't show you the serial number on it, so you can't see you lost your ticket. Anyway, I got Texas Tech at 9 to 1. They are going to be a really tough out. Texas A&M is 17 to 1. Ole Miss 25 to 1, really with no coach. Miami's at 22 to 1. Alabama 25 to 1. Oklahoma, lofty 50 to 1. James Madison 500 to 1. Tulane, same 500 to 1. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your ringmaster, Sal. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, this one's for you, Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.